Is this how I get views? Just me smacking my head on a table? How's it going, guys? It is MWT here with the NBA recaps for day number 7. So, before this video starts, I need you guys to go into the little area down below and subscribe to the channel. If you are definitely new, make sure you drop a like on this video because I'm going to keep this going for a long time. We got to get through these really quickly because I got a jam-packed day ahead of me right now. So we're going to start off really quickly here with the Detroit Pistons versus the Indiana Pacers. This is how it would normally go for when we have a lot of games on a day. I'll just say the top scorer for each game and then briefly describe the matchup. The Pistons win 96-94. Indiana's leading scorer was Domantas Sabonis with 21 points. He had 14 rebounds, 1 assist. And for Detroit, it was none other than actually Christian Wood, who had 19 points, 12 rebounds, and 1 block. And Andre Drummond had 18 points, 18 rebounds, 1 assist, and 2 blocks in that game. Looking over the matchup, it looked like the Pistons were actually up by 12 points at some point in the second quarter. They blew that lead, and the Pacers were up by 4 with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And then they blew that at the end of the game when they were up, and boom, the Pistons win by 2 points. So, an interesting game. Came down to the wire, but Pistons are doing pretty good so far, but the Pacers, you guys gotta work on it. I'm only gonna go over this game for a second because I'm supposed to cover it later. Days of our Steelers, no. Days of our Bulls, no. Let's talk about the Chicago Bulls versus New York Knicks. Chicago's leading scorer, Zach LaVine, 21 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. New York Knicks leading scorer off the bench, Bobby Portis, 28 points, 11 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks. Matchup-wise, the Bulls were up for most of the game. They were up by 18 points in the third quarter. They blew that lead. Then they were up by 8 points with 4 minutes left, and then they blew that. The Knicks came back and won the game by 7 points. So I'll talk about that game later. We don't need to talk about that right now. Well, let's talk about the next game, Philadelphia 76ers versus the Atlanta Hawks. The 76ers won that game. It was a very close game. 105-103 was the final score in favor of the 76ers. This is the type of game I wanted to see. I want to see a Hawks versus 76ers game that goes down to the wire. Philly's main scorer, Joel Embiid, of course, with 36 points. He had 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block. Atlanta's main scorer, of course, was Mr. Trae Young, who had 25 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists. And looking at matchup-wise, the 76ers, their biggest lead was only by 4 points, and that was in the third quarter. Meanwhile, the Hawks were up by 13 points during the first quarter, and then they blew that. So, the Hawks are looking pretty promising. It's pretty great to see such a young team with an aging veteran in Vince Carter. Well, let's move on to the next game. Toronto Raptors versus Orlando Magic. The Raptors won 104-95. Taking a look at this box score, Orlando, their main scorer was Jonathan Isaac, who had 24 points, 7 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. For Toronto, it was Kyle Lowry, who had 26 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and Pascal had 24 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists. So, pretty much a good game overall from their starters for Toronto. The biggest lead that I could see right here is that the Raptors were a couple times up by 14 points, but they blew those leads, especially in the fourth quarter. They blew a 14-point lead, and the Orlando Magic were up by 2 points with 5 minutes left in the game. They blew that, and then the Raptors won by 9 points. So that's what it is. That's what it is. You can't beat that. Let's go on to the next game. Houston versus Oklahoma City. Now, if you remember anything from what happened in the offseason, Russell Westbrook basically got traded for Chris Paul. So this is the first time that basically Russ is going to have to face his old team. But this one was in Houston, Texas. So Chris Paul also, I believe, played. leading scorers for OKC, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who had 22 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. And off the bench, Dennis Schroeder, who had 22 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 1 steal. For Houston, their main scorer, of course, James Harden, the Beard, who had 40 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block on 8 for 21 from the field, 3 for 14 from the three-point line, but he was 21 for 22 from the free throw line. So that's what mostly helps him, because obviously he has to complain to the ref to get his fouls. Looking at this matchup right here, OKC was up by 15 points going into the second quarter, and then they blew that. The Rockets then were up by 13 points going into the fourth quarter. They almost blew it and lost the game, but they held on to win by 4 points. So great job for Houston right there. I know there's a little kid out there who's like really mad about the fact that his team lost, but then again he said, I'm going to be a Houston Rockets fan, and then he was like, no, I'm a Westbrook fan. Well, then which is it? Which is it? Let's go on to the next game. Bucks versus Cavaliers, 129-112 the final score. The Bucks win. Cleveland's main scorer was Colin Sexton, who had 18 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. Meanwhile, for Milwaukee, their main scorer was actually Chris Middleton, who had 21 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 1 steal. The Greek Freak took a backseat to help his team and make sure they won. And everyone was involved. Everyone was involved. That's what's important to a team. Looking at this score really quick, the Cavaliers were up by 4 points a couple times in the first quarter. Then the Bucks completely blew it open throughout the rest of the game, and they were up by 21 in the fourth quarter. So, yeah, pretty great game. Pretty great game to watch right there, especially for the Bucks. They really need to start winning more games. I mean, it's the beginning of the season, but still, you want to keep going. Let's go on to the next game. Obviously, Warriors versus Pelicans. The Warriors edge out the Pelicans 134-123. The box score final. Let's take a look at it. Golden State, their main scorer was Stephen Curry, who had 26 points, 3 rebounds, 11 assists, and 3 steals. For New Orleans, main scorer, of course, Brandon Ingram, who had 27 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. So, pretty much great game. Take a look at this. The Pelicans never led. The Warriors were up by 29 points during the fourth quarter, a couple times. They blew that and still won the game by 11. And I was saying the Pelicans were going to be a top 11, top 10 team. Figure it out, Pelicans. Next game, San Antonio versus Portland. Now, San Antonio did win this game 113-110. And this was a nice game also to watch, just because the Spurs had everything against them. They had to come back and win this game. Portland, their main scorer, of course, Damian Lillard with 28 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 blocks. For San Antonio, it was DeMar DeRozan, who had 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 steals. And the matchup, let's see it. Oh my goodness, Portland was up by 19 points in the first quarter. They blew that lead, and then in the third quarter, Spurs went on a run, and they were up by 19 points in the fourth quarter. They blew that and still won by 3. So, very close game. Well, it was kind of like back and forth. Let's just say that if I drew it, it was like this. Portland, and it's up right here. They blow the lead, and then the Spurs are up, and then they blow that lead, but still they win the game. So, kind of like one of those charts in math. That's funny. Next, we have to go on to Utah versus Phoenix, and Utah won this game 96-95. Very close game. It came down to a Donovan Mitchell free throw, I believe. Let's take a look at Utah's main scorer was Bojan Bogdanovic with 29 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block, while Mitchell had 25 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals in that game. Meanwhile, for Phoenix, their main scorer, of course, Devin Booker, 21 points, 3 rebounds, 1 steal, and 1 block. And looking at the matchup right here, Utah was up by 9 points a couple times in the game. They blew the first time they were up by 9. They came back and were up by 9 again in the third quarter. They blew that lead. Phoenix was up by 7 multiple times in the fourth. They blew that lead. And boom, the Utah Jazz win by the skin of their teeth. It was so close. So, remember, it came down to a free throw. That's why they won. It came down to a free throw. So, pretty great game. Pretty great game. And obviously, the Phoenix Suns fans were booing the refs. Man, these refs are bad. Talk about soft. Next, we have to go to the Nuggets versus Kings game. 101-94 the final. The Nuggets win, of course. And the Kings are 0-4. Denver, their main scorer was Jamal Murray, who had 18 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal. And meanwhile, for Sacramento, their leading scorer was off the bench, Richaun Holmes, who had 24 points, 13 rebounds, and 2 blocks. I hope I said that right. Richaun Holmes. I hope I said that right, please. Now, Sacramento was up by 9 points during the second quarter, and they blew that lead. Then they got an 8-point lead, and then they blew that one again. And then Denver went up by 12 at the end of the game, but still won, even though they almost blew a 12-point lead in the fourth quarter. So, back and forth, maybe. But then again, okay game. And of course, the Clippers facing the Hornets. We all knew that the Clippers were going to win this game, 111-96. And taking a look at the box score right here, let's have a look-see. Charlotte's main scorer was Terry Rozier, who had 17 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. For the Clippers, it was Kawhi Leonard, who had 30 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and 3 blocks. And matchup-wise, the Clippers were up big, 14 points in the first quarter. They blew that lead. And then the Charlotte Hornets were up by 5 4 times in the second quarter. They blew that. And then the Clippers went up by 17 towards the end of the game a couple times, and they won by 15 points. So, that's all I got to say about that. Obviously, tonight, we got some NBA games tonight. Atlanta versus Miami. In Miami, Butler will make his debut with the Heat tonight. Both teams are 2-1, so what do you think I expect out of tonight? I would love to see Butler making his debut with the Miami Heat with a W. I believe that the Miami Heat will win that game. Or did I pick... Who did I pick for this game? Yeah, I picked Miami for this game. Denver versus Dallas in Denver and Mile High. You won't be able to win in that atmosphere. So, literally. So, I'm picking Denver to win this game. And for Memphis versus Los Angeles, this is in Laker country. So, do I foresee the Memphis Grizzlies beating the Lakers? I don't know. Could be. Could be an upset coming up right here. I would hate to see the Lakers go up 3-1. So you know what? I'm going to go and pick the Grizzlies. Why not? Because you know what? With that electrifying offense, they're young. They're young. They're going to want to play against this team. They're going to want to play defense against this team. Considering that also LeBron was like, oh, all this team needs to do is play defense. Buddy, you need to play defense. You need to play defense a little more, man. You cannot call out your team and say they're not playing defense good when you're not even playing defense really well. So that's all I got to say on this, and we'll talk later on about the one game. So I'll go into more detail. But I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Give it a like. Share with your friends. Grow the community. Let's aim for, right now, we're going for 200 subscribers. Let's get to 160 first, and then we're going to keep going up by 10. So, thank you guys, and as always, you guys know you guys are the man. So, the myth, the legends, have an awesome day.